Ready for the next one?
Ready?
Yes. Roll call. Council members: Friedman,
Here.
Manukian,
Here.
Najarian,
Here.
Weaver,
Here.
Mayor Quintero.
Here.
The agenda for the January 15, 2013 special public meeting of the City Council was posted on Thursday, January 10, 2013 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Before you is another public hearing, Director of Community Development regarding zone change map amendment, general plan map amendment, and Stage 1 design review for property located at 313 through 315 West California Avenue. 1A is a resolution amending the land use map of the general plan. B is an ordinance for introduction amending the zone map. C is a motion approving Stage 1 design review subject to comments and condition of approval.
Mr. Mayor, I ask a housekeeping rule.
Okay.
When we, at the proper time, how can we take these motions? Do you have to take B first? Ordinance for introduction, can the other two?
Mr. Weaver should probably take A first, and then
A first alone,
Yeah, and
then B alone, and then C alone.
Sorry.
Mr. Ochoa.
Yes, sir. This is a rather exciting project because it spreads the investment that we are experiencing in the downtown Pacific Plan area to the Central Avenue corridor. And it also, at the same time, you'll see the proposed zone change, seeks to rectify an issue or a situation that exists on this particular piece of property and in several other locations around the DSP, wherein potential development sites have, they straddle the border of the DSP and the surrounding land use zoning designations. So we're doing a bit of cleanup at the same time. The exciting longer-term aspect of this, in addition to the very high-quality development that's being proposed on its own, is that the council has the ability with this particular project and this type of project to really set the standard for other similar types of scenarios that may emerge in the future, wherein you have high potential sites that straddle the DSP zone. So with that, we'll have our senior planner, Eric Kraus, give you the staff presentation, and the developer is also in the audience to answer questions on either of these items.
Open the hearing, Mr. Mayor.
I'll open the public hearing.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The proposed project is located at 301 through 311 North Central Avenue and 313 through 315 West California, northwest corner of California and Central. The applicant is requesting a zone change map amendment, general plan map amendment, and Stage 1 approvals for a new mixed-use development on 5 parcels within the transitional district of the DSP and the R1250 parking structure overlay zone. The zone change and general plan amendment are proposed on 2 parcels that are located at 313 through 315 West California. The zoning is proposed to change from R1250 PS, which is a high-density residential parking structure overlay, to the downtown transitional district. The general plan designation is proposed to change from high-density residential to downtown specific plan. The requested zone change and general plan map amendment would match the downtown specific plan zoning and general plan designation on 3 parcels that are also included in the subject site that run along Central Avenue. All 5 parcels are currently under the same ownership. The zone change and general plan amendment would also match the parcels directly north of the subject site, which is owned by the Glendale Unified School District. The proposed building is designed to step down from 6 stories on Central to 4 stories moving west along California, and this design is consistent with the design guidelines in the downtown specific plan. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposed zone change map amendment and general plan map amendment on December 5th, 2012. The Planning Commission recommended approval without further comment, and also had commented on the applicant and appreciated the fact that they're following proper procedures and doing a rezone and zone change amendment rather than going through a series of variances, which is what some of the other projects have done in the past. The proposed development is a podium-type design with approximately 4,300 square feet of ground floor retail and 84 apartment units, which is arranged around a central courtyard. The project is 6 stories with a maximum height of 75 feet, down to 4 stories to the west with a maximum of just over 53 feet. The code requires 159 parking spaces. The project will provide 167 spaces with 95 standard parking spaces and 72 spaces in a tandem configuration. This is 8 more spaces than would be required by code. The majority of the parking spaces will be located in a 2-level underground parking structure, and 25 spaces will be located on the ground floor that will be used for retail and also for guest parking. A vehicle access will be provided on California on the west side of the property. And the project, with a height of 6 stories and 3.0 FAR, which is what is proposed at, exceeds the limits permitted by right. However, the transitional district does allow an increase of the FAR from 2.5 to 3.0 and allows them to go from 4 stories to 6 stories by providing an incentive. The public open space is the incentive the applicant is proposing to increase the FAR in height. They're currently proposing a publicly accessible open space of providing 337 square feet when 106,631 square feet will be required to get the extra incentive. The public open space is provided within the setbacks along Central and California and a covered plaza on the corner of California and Central Avenue. The city's principal urban designer reviewed the submission and supports the approval. An addendum to the downtown specific plan finally was prepared to evaluate the project, which found that no new significant impacts would occur. At this point, staff is recommending that the City Council amend the land use map of the general plan, introduce the ordinance to amend the zoning map, and approve the Stage 1 submission. That concludes my presentation. The applicant as well as the architect are here to discuss the project in more detail. Thank you.
Any questions?
Could you go over the density issue again?
Under the by right in the transitional downtown specific plan, they're allowed a density of 2.5
Okay.
FAR, and they're currently requesting 3.0, which is consistent with the incentive program under the DSP.
And what is the open space that they're providing?
They're providing, to get the incentive, they have to provide additional public open space.
Okay.
They're proposing to provide 3,337 square feet. However, under the code, they want to provide like double what would be allowed. So they're providing an additional like 1,631 square feet
Of open space?
of open
That's
space,
open
to
the
get that
public?
incentive. That's open completely to the public, yes.
Thank you.
You didn't mention anything pertaining to bicycle spaces or electric plug-ins? Neither one of those?
Yeah, I believe, it's been a while since I looked at the portion of the project. The applicant can talk to that, but I believe the last go-around, we did talk about bike parking, and I think we were talking about like one shared spot for electrical as well, but let the applicant speak to make sure that that's correct.
Question regarding the, following up on the open space question. Can setback space be counted as open space?
The setback space can be, but not the public right-of-way. So the area where the sidewalk is, which is kind of this public right-of-way, that does not count, but the setback space would count as towards the public open space.
Okay, so in these diagrams that we see, I think they described it as being basically the border, the building is pushed further back.
Correct.
And you start calculating the open space there.
Yeah.
But there was another internal?
There is an internal open space, that's not publicly accessible open space, that's for the
So that
residents
doesn't,
of the...
that doesn't count towards getting...
No.
That's strictly an amenity.
The additional open space is mostly at the corner. There's a large plaza area over there, and then the building actually cantilevers over it. So the lower floor is set back toward the DSP 12 feet, and then the building protrudes a little bit beyond that. So that larger open space area is kind of like a covered, essentially.
Okay. Let me ask another question. Why isn't this considered spot zoning when you're just taking one parcel and making it a zone change?
I will answer that question without...
You knew that was coming, because we discussed this before. So.
It is not spot zoning because what you're doing, the downtown specific plan zone, which is adjacent to this, is incorporating 2 additional lots inside the DSP, as opposed to taking one lot freestanding by itself and zoning it for a particular project. This is not what we're doing. We're incorporating the lots adjacent to the DSP into the DSP, which is just basically annexing the DSP zoning.
And why is a zone change preferable to a variance?
Because, quite frankly, the variance process in this case would be treated like a de facto permit process, and in order to make the hardship findings, we would not really necessarily be making the hardship findings to allow what's essentially zoned residential to be developed with commercial standards. In this case, the proper approach would be to amend the policy to incorporate what was previously residential zone into this mixed-use zone, and then develop it according to the standards.
What guarantees do we have as a city that should this project not go forward, that the quality type development that's being proposed now will be proposed by a future developer?
Because number one, the project is being developed according to the downtown specific plan standards and guidelines. That is why the project meets the quality standards that we meet. And if the zone gets changed and this project falls through and doesn't happen, the next project will be subject to the same standards and same review process. And in fact, given that there is an existing project that has happened, we only tend to improve the projects, not go backwards. And you will still be the review authority on the design of the final project, no matter what project happens there.
So you're telling me I shouldn't worry that should this project not go forward, that there could be some horrendous project that would take its place and take advantage of the zone change that we're affording?
Yes, sir, that's what I'm saying. You should
Similar
not
to what
worry
we saw in Brand Wilson and Orange Wilson, where original submittals fell away and new projects came in, I would argue that the projects that were there as part of that second wave of investment probably better reflected where it is that we're trying to go in terms of that mixed-use environment. And the council has proven very effective as quality control.
I have a question. I don't know if it's who it's for, but that publicly accessible open space.
Yes.
And I understand these are just renderings, but in the renderings, it looks like the entrance of a building. That's all. Is it going to be at all programmed to be welcoming to the public? Because what I'm seeing is not.
Mr. Loomis is going to.
The answer is yes, it will be. However, given that this is a stage one preliminary review, we haven't dived in to figure out exactly how that would be landscaped, what
Right,
it
but
would
the
look like.
intention is to make it something that's
Exactly.
attractive to the public, that's an amenity
Right,
that the public
and one of the
enjoys.
discussions we've had is there's adjacent retail space. If that were to be a cafe, then that area could be used for outdoor dining, cafe seating, that would serve the cafe, but also anybody could sit down and use.
So if that was to happen, I mean, this is a little bit off topic, but if that was to happen, how do you indicate to the public that they can use that, since usually if there's an outdoor cafe, you don't just go and sit down if you're not ordering from that cafe? Have you thought about ways of making it seem more?
We've thought about some ways that perhaps there could be like a small sign that says this is public open space or something like that, but we haven't codified or institutionalized that process yet.
But from a design standpoint, we'd be looking at paving treatments, landscape, features, whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
But the idea is to show this is public realm.
Okay.
And fundamentally, since everything's at the sidewalk level, it's very clear that that's space that people can walk around, as opposed to having to go up 3 or 4 steps to get to some separate space that would feel semi-private or semi-public.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make one correction to what Mr. Kraus said, at least the way I heard it. The DSP actually requires 1,631 square feet of public open space, and the developer is offering 3,337, which is double the amount that's in fact required. That's just for a point of clarification. Thanks.
Question, Mr. Mayor. I remember when I voted against the downtown specific plan, I actually raised the issue of zoning this property and or the property adjacent to it, why was it part of the downtown specific plan and this was not? And the recommendation at that time by you actually was not to have this specific property zoned in the downtown specific plan. Do you recall why this property was zoned like that? I can see that the rest of the properties it's just the front properties that were zoned, and the other property being part of the school district property?
Yeah, at the time, if I recall correctly, the reason that at the time I said we did not recommend to change the boundary was that there was no indication that the ownership was going to be one ownership between this property and the 2 houses next door, and staff was not going to recommend to just change the zoning on 2 single-family homes, what was there, in order to not necessarily encourage the removal of single-family homes. That, if I remember correctly, that was the reason I did.
And are there single-family homes there now, currently?
There are 2 single-family homes, which I don't know if they're still there. They have vacated them, right?
Because I remember another property that I recommended some individuals to have a zoning change similar to this, and I was lambasted over it, actually, a few years ago. Are the neighbors notified of this change? Was
The
there
neighbors are
notice given?
notified, yes, 500-foot radius. Also, council might wish to know that we have notified other areas around the downtown specific plan where we thought that the same situation might happen, and asked people if they would like to join in, and they chose not to. And then they chose to come in as they have projects. There are 2 or 3 other locations.
And there was a statement made regarding that this could be like a precedent for other properties. I want to just make it clear that I don't want, however this vote goes, I don't want it to be precedent for anything, especially when it's dealing with a zone change. So
Sure.
each individual application should be looked at upon its merits and its detriment, so and the welfare of the community, and not set a precedent by looking at this today.
Certainly, I appreciate that, sir. I think my point was that as these rather unique parcels come together, you will hear 1,001 reasons why you should, as the design review for this project or such projects, settle for something less. Because, as Mr. Agani had pointed out, this was an orphan project. This project or this property had been left by the market and was overlooked. And so we can't afford to do something very nice that Glendale would otherwise be proud of. I think through this type of project, you're able to go to any future type of consideration, whether you approve those future projects or not, to be able to say, no, we can demand and, in fact, receive high-quality design.
No, my comment was regarding the zoning change.
Absolutely. I just want to make, my comment was on the design side.
Right.
Any other?
I didn't do any of the lambasting, did I?
I don't want to get into that at this point.
Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Okay, I have 3 speaker cards. Elise?
Is that the end of the presentations?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For now, we can bring it back. Elisa Asmarian, followed by Grigor Grigorian.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor Quintero, council members, and city staff. My name is Elisa Asmarian. I am Board of Directors with the Armenian American Chamber of Commerce, Greater Los Angeles chapter. As the Executive Board, we have met up with the representatives of Chandler Pratt and Partners, and I'm here to express our support for their development at 315 West California Street, consisting of 84-unit apartment building with 5,000 square feet of retail on the ground floor. We have reviewed the architectural plans and like the proposed density, color, open space, and unit designs, and how the building steps down onto California, so there is less of an impact on the existing properties on California. We also support the proposed zone change and general plan amendment at the site and look forward to the addition of this development in the city of Glendale. And as a local business owner, I also support this project and look forward for the yes vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Grigor Grigorian, followed by Sam Manukian.
Good afternoon, Honorable City Council members, Mr. Mayor, and staff. My name is Grigor Grigorian. I am the president of the Armenian American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Los Angeles chapter. I am here today to express my full support for the Chandler Pratt and Partners development project, both on behalf of the Chamber and more personally as a local business owner. As you may know, the Armenian American Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization committed to serving the needs of the business community in the United States and abroad. We are an organization that encourages entrepreneurship and innovative business activity here within our wonderful city of Glendale. The project before you today embodies the goal of our organization. Over the last few months, we've had the opportunity to learn about this project and get to know the Chandler Pratt and Partners. We believe this is the kind of project that will continue to transform our city. For these reasons, the Armenian American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Los Angeles chapter and I request your vote of yes for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Manukian.
Good afternoon. My name is Sam Manukian. I'm the Director of the Commercial Division for RE/MAX. And first, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you guys for implementing this zone and giving us the opportunity in the brokerage community to be able to bring quality developers like Chandler Pratt into this dais. The other group that I want to thank is the staff. I mean, working with these guys is just phenomenal. The leadership and the guidance, you guys should be proud that we have such a phenomenal department. In my opinion, I think this 2 parcels should have been included in the DSP plan to begin with, but I think I understand Mr. Hagani's point that at the time there was not such a project that deserved this kind of change. And I also wanted to thank a company like Chandler Pratt for considering to do a project with I know other cities that they've worked in, and they absolutely have hit a home run every time they've gotten up to the bat. And I think this is going to be the nicest projects in the area, and we're going to take that orphan land and do something good with it. So I hope you will consider supporting this project. It's been over a year for us to get to this point, and we're proud of it. Thank you.
Okay, that's a final speaker card. I'll close the public hearing. Are there any questions for the staff or comments? Mr. Weaver.
Who's best to answer a question on the swimming pool? Designer, architect, engineer, staff? Swimming pool. It's going to be down in a hole, so to speak. Are you planning to solar heat it?
We have, as a company,
If you could state your name also for the...
Todd Pratt, Chandler Pratt. Our company has developed many mixed-use projects that contain a central courtyard with the pool by necessity down in the slab of the courtyard, and then the units ring around the courtyard. And what we do is we carefully space the units so that there's enough air and sunlight coming down into the courtyard so that it's not just a tunnel. Some designers end up having very narrow courtyards where you really have a very undesirable narrow amount of sunlight. But in our case, we're similar to the projects that we've done elsewhere, and we purposely design our buildings so that there will be adequate light and air coming down into the courtyard.
So you're not going to solar heat it?
We will study the solar heating. We have not found solar heating to be advantageous to us on our other projects. We do use economical gas heaters for the pools and the jacuzzis, which are today very, very efficient. And, we could certainly look at the solar heating as an option as well.
Yeah, most of the projects have come here, I've asked them the question, and they are putting solar heating in. I'm trying to look at where the lighting is coming down to that pool from the third or fourth deck. Maybe it is.
If you notice, we purposely stepped the design of the building down towards California so that you have the sunlight in the afternoon is going to have an easier time getting into the courtyard.
Well, I'm just suggesting, I have a pool, built it in '79. It's all solar heated. With the pool cover on, I can have 80-some degree heat in the pool in October, November. It's pretty hard to do without solar heating, without a solar cover. If you want your residents to get the maximum usage, solar heating, which is the capital expense putting it in, is cheaper today, but you get the most bang for your bucks without having to heat. So it's just an idea.
We welcome looking at that. Yep.
You have a deck on top of the building. You could put a roof on that with the solar panels on top of it, because the sun beating down during the summer is going to bring a fair amount of heat, and not too many people are going to want to sit up there in 100-degree heat. But if you roofed it with solar panels for the pool below, you get a dual good use out of it. In fact, you could even put the misters on the roof to cool down the upper deck there. So, just an idea.
Take a look at that for sure.
Other than that, it does exactly what we talked about back when we developed the downtown specific plan, the stepping down, so it's not a wall to the next door neighbor. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Comments? Friedman?
I think it's a very understated and elegant design. It's going to fit in very nicely. You certainly took the design guidelines literally in terms of stepping the building down, so that's appreciated. I think it's going to be a wonderful addition, and certainly I think the businesses in the area know that this is going to be a great benefit to bring these residents into our downtown. I am very glad that you're a development team that's working in Glendale. I think that your projects look, at least on paper, we'll see what they look on paper, like they're going to be really wonderful additions. I do hope that you take the bicycle parking seriously and consider not only the electrical, and I don't know if that's a requirement in our code, but I know more and more people are buying the electrical vehicles, so I hope you have the parking for them. A couple of the other developments are putting in shared cars, so maybe you can look into that and ask staff about how that works, because it's an interesting concept that I think a lot of younger people, or just people in general, would be interested in having as an amenity in their building. But I'm in favor of the zone change and to approving the Stage 1 design for this project.
I have no comments.
Well, let me ask you straight out, are you going to include bike spaces and an electric plug-in?
Yes, we
have those in our...
We have, in many past projects that we built, we always include bicycle parking. In this project, we would likely include a bicycle concierge shop, which is a little bit more of a new modern thing where if somebody has a flat tire, they can actually bring their bike in and fix it without going up into their unit to get all greasy or whatnot. We're also going to put in electrical outlets for the electrical vehicles, which very often today are becoming much more frequently in use, as well as we're going to put in the zip car, which is the share car for usage by the tenants, which you rent on an hourly basis, and you can pop downtown, and that way, you can actually have a couple who lives in the unit, and one of them doesn't have a car, but they have the access to the zip car.
And in fact, Zipcar has been bought by BMW.
Yes.
Lots of money behind them. Okay, well, I don't have any other questions. I am very much in support of this project. I think I happen to be at the automotive area there at Sears, just half a block away earlier in the day, and they're working on the corner project, making a lot of progress. So I just drove by quickly on the way home, and this is really going to add a lot to that corner, that's for sure. And it's going to blend in with the rest of the housing that already either been approved or has already started. So I think you're bringing a beautiful project to the market. I'm very pleased with the aesthetics, and it's going to be great. It's what we're trying to do in the downtown, and this certainly fits all of our guidelines and the downtown strategic plan. So congratulations and thank you.
Just one quick question. What's your timetable?
We anticipate, we're currently ready to proceed immediately. We anticipate going through the design this summer and breaking ground as soon as we can this fall. And we'd love to do that as quickly as we can.
Let me take a second and
give us
my
your
name
name.
is Dan Chandler, the founder of Chandler Pratt. We're a 40-year-old company. Reason for our success down through the years is we consider developing these buildings as an art form. It's really no different than a blank canvas if you're a painter or a sculptor with a piece of marble, granite. And that attention to detail and proudness of what we do has made us welcome in many cities across Southern California. See by our portfolio how proud we are of our properties and how well received they are. By giving people more than they think they're going to get, suddenly the public and the city officials and staff recognizes the public not always why it's better, but they recognize it's better. And as a result of that, if they recognize it's better, people stay longer, they take care of the property, they have pride of ownership and proud to live there. So you're going to get from us an absolutely first-class, top-of-the-line project just like all of our others. Another comment is when you're out in the lender community, they always look at your past projects. So we can't do a second-hand job here because the lenders say, well, let me see your last 5 projects. Well, if they see 4 nice ones and a clunker, there goes the loan. So we absolutely insist upon first-class, top-of-the-line workmanship and design, and wanted to make sure that everyone understood that. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for your comments, sir.
Mr. Mayor, you may want to ask the speakers to fill out speaker cards so we can
Yeah,
formally
and
make that
please
part of
fill
the
out the
record.
speaker cards before you leave and turn them into the city clerk. Okay, do I have a motion?
Well, you want to close the public hearing, or is that?
Been closed.
Yeah, close it.
Okay, I'll move 1A.
And a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Council members: Friedman.
Yes.
Menuchyan.
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Weaver.
Aye.
Mayor Quintero.
Yes.
And I'll do the ordinance of 1B.
Okay, the ordinance has been introduced.
Move 1C.
Second.
Roll call?
Council members: Friedman.
Yes.
Menuchyan.
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Weaver.
Aye.
Mayor Quintero.
Yes. Next, please.
Move we adjourn?
Second.
We are adjourned.